Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie, I live in New York, and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events, and I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Today I'm on my way to the city to go to the Metropolitan Opera House and see Madame Butterfly. Join me. So, I hope you've been watching my channel and that you saw my trip to Cartagena, my trip to Haiti, and my trip to Cancun, Mexico. And I'm asking you to watch these so that you can understand how incredibly annoyed I am at the weather in January. Yes, I don't know how we're getting through it. I want to escape to the land of sun. All right, that's enough complaining. We're back in New York, and we're doing cultural events. And we went back to the opera, and we saw Puccini's Madame Butterfly. I went with my theater partner, Josie, also my cousin, and she had never seen Madame Butterfly, and she didn't know the full story. So her reaction was a little funny, but we'll get more to that later. I noticed that when I do the opera stories, not that many people watch, so you ask, why do I keep doing them? I keep doing them because I live in New York City. This is available to me. How can I not avail myself of this? It's wonderful. Even if you don't like opera, you should at least go once to see what the hype is all about. And I'll tell you what it's about. It's a grand stage. If you go to Broadway and you come to the opera, you will be blown away by the stage settings, by the beautiful palace that is the Metropolitan Opera House that you get to step into. The doormen still have the uniform, and they walk around with a xylo, and they ring the bell when it's time for you to go to your seat, or to let you know how many minutes you have left until the opera starts. It's a whole experience that I try to bring you to. And as I've said before, try it at least once, because you're more familiar with this music than you realize. How did I come to that conclusion? Because I was having a discussion with my husband about the opera, and he was just like, when we were kids and they would play cartoons, they would use opera music as the background. So all these operas kind of have that one fantastic single that you all know about called an aria. And you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, oh, this is where it came from. And not only that, but you are really transported to another time, another world. Is it very authentic? Maybe not, but it's somebody's fantasy. So Madame Butterfly was written by Puccini, an Italian man. And this is how he envisioned the Asian world to look. But he was telling a story. Even for him, Puccini was making a political statement. And the interesting thing about Madame Butterfly is that he incorporates the United States anthem in the music. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel, you know how it goes. You see me going into the city, Manhattan, to see the opera. And I'm meeting up with my cousin Josie. And fortunately for us, it was New York Restaurant Week. So we had made reservations to go to the Lincoln. The Lincoln is a beautiful restaurant on the plaza of Lincoln Center. So, you pass the Opera House, you go by the Tranquility Pool, and you walk into this very modern designed restaurant. Very pretty. I love the vibes. I also like people watching in there. Some beautiful people go there. And we got a seat by the window, and they presented us with the menu. And the menu had, this little section that showed what was available for restaurant week. So this restaurant is a bit pricey, but during restaurant week, the prices are very nice. So for $60, of course, you get the appetizer, the entree, and dessert. And there are some upcharges. So, like if you wanted truffles on your risotto, there was an upcharge. And of course, they gave you a deal on ordering a bottle of wine. So the bottle of wine, you had two to select from, and that was like $45. So it was just the two of us. We're splitting the bill. We lived it up. And as we were enjoying the ambiance of the Lincoln and enjoying the food, a lot of the people around us were also going to go to the opera to see Madame Butterfly. And what I like about New York is this was a Wednesday night. And when you walked into the restaurant, you couldn't tell that it was a work week because people were out there living. And as we sat there, I heard this wonderful voice, and I turned around. Let me correct myself. My cousin immediately saw my daughter and said, "Oh, wow, it's Liliana. Did you know she was coming? Is it planned?" And no, it was not. It was a very nice surprise. I was really happy to see her because she is currently working on her opera, El Nino, which will be opening in April. So it was a nice little reunion. I got my kisses and my hugs. I got to see my daughter, who was very busy, and off she went. We completed our meal. It was delicious. Finished up and headed towards the opera. And headed towards the opera with a lot of people from the restaurant. And of course, I never get tired of this scene. As you approach the building and the lights and the excitement and the anticipation, because there are true music lovers, true fans of classical music, true fans of the opera form. But there are also those like me who just love the whole ambiance of it, have gratitude that we live in a town that has an opera house and that it's accessible. So Josie got the tickets on TDF, which is a discount ticket service. So, sometimes you get seats to the side with a partial view. Sometimes you get great seats, but it's a gamble. Luckily for us, we got pretty good seats. We were way up close, even though to the side. But it was so spectacular. It was so beautiful. And it was so nice because I haven't sat that close to the stage in a while. The performance was beautiful. They were getting rave reviews in the New York Times because of the soprano's voice. And of course, the hit piece, or the hit aria, is the one where she talks about seeing her beloved come in a boat from afar. I'm not going to try to butcher the Italian with giving you the name, but that's the piece. And the story is tragic, of course, and if you research it, you find that it is based on a true story. It was originally based on a short story written by the author John Long. And how did he come about that is because his sister was married to a Methodist minister or Methodist missionary that was in Nagasaki, Japan. And she talked about a poor tea house girl who had been abandoned by her husband. And she, the poor tea house girl with a son, and they had been abandoned. So this short story was then made into a 2-act opera, and it was opened in Milan, where Puccini saw it. And as all good artists, he then appropriated it and elongated it to 3 acts and fleshed out the story. And I guess he was trying to, I heard somebody at the Opera House call it, well, this is the picture of the ugly American. So, he comes to town, he takes advantage of the people there, and then he abandons this girl and his child. It's semi-autobiographical, and people try to take
try to figure out who it is, but there was a man that did adopt a Japanese boy, supposedly. So they're thinking that this is his son. But anyway, I'm moving off track about the story. It's a tragedy. It's about a 15-year-old girl who marries an American lieutenant, and the American lieutenant marries her for convenience because the laws of Japan are so lax, and he knows that he's going to abandon her when he finds a proper American wife. And it's about this girl. She's 15 and she's truly in love, and she feels that he will come back to her. And unfortunately, he comes back just to claim the child. And so, as all great operas, she then proceeds in heartache and despair to give him the child, and she commits suicide. So I'm kind of, it's very sad, it's very tragic, but all opera tends to be very sad and very tragic, and the woman always seems to suffer. So I turned to my cousin at the end, and she was like in shock because she didn't know this is how it ended. She had just like briefly looked at it and saw that it was a love story, and it was based in Japan and all these rave reviews. She was mad. She was really angry. And I understand her anger. I was like, but I thought you read it. She goes, I didn't read it all the way through. She goes, this is horrible. She kills herself over that, and it stayed with her for a few days. And it is kind of an outdated notion. And I was just like, yeah, but this gives you a perspective. Like, women didn't have anything. You were totally dependent on a man. So you have to remember the time frame in which it was written. And that Puccini never set foot in Japan. So he was just as culturally ignorant as the lieutenant in the short story. Brings me to another discussion, and a discussion that's been taking place in the opera world is that they do understand that some of these operas that everybody loves the music to are offensive, especially to the Asian community. So there was a whole New York Times article written about how the Royal Opera House in London addressed this. And they took out as much of the caricature and the stereotypical portrayals as much as they could. But even with all of that, I see that my cousin was still offended from the point of view of a woman. But that was the reality of the time. And the people that went to watch it were in the mind frame that, yes, she has nothing now, and that she has to sacrifice herself to provide the best life for her child. And that best life is for him to go live with his father. But the people around me were truly opera fans, and the music was beautiful. And the staging was magical. And the people around me were true music lovers. So there was a man that was so emotional because he had spent 30 years out of the country, actually in the Dominican Republic, and he had not been able to see an opera. So he's come back, and to be able to see this just moved him. And he just kept going on and on about the beauty of it, and the beauty of the music, and the appreciation for the artistic effort of the performers on stage. And I was like, I wish the people that I'm doing this for would have an opportunity to go to the opera and experience this. And then I kind of panned the room to show that this theater was full. But opera's not static. You don't always have to go see the classics. There are new operas being produced and performed. And it evolves and it provides a dialogue, as all good art does. So that was our night at the opera. I hope you join me next time on our next adventure. And I hope you like, share, and subscribe.